Welcome, welcome. I'm just getting everything set up, trying to go live here in Facebook, and then we will get started. Okay. Hey, Chris. Welcome, Chris. Welcome, Harjeet, Michelle, Tina. Thank you for joining. We will get started momentarily as I get things set up. Thank you so much for joining. We are live in Facebook. Okay. I'm used to having a guest speaker, so it's just me tonight. So I have to kind of do everything. I usually do keep an eye on things while the guest speaker is speaking. But anyway, that's quite all right. I see Deb has joined. Okay, let's get started. Just a few logistics before we get started. Welcome. Type in the chat where you're coming from, where you're dialing in from. I'd love to know. And I'm going to start sharing my screen. I do have a presentation. So let's see. Where is this? Share screen. Can somebody let me know in the chat if you can see my screen now? This would be really good. Okay, thanks. Thanks, Tina. Thanks, Chris. Okay. Awesome. All right. Well, let's get started. Okay. Okay, we have people coming in from Delaware, from Oakville, Canada, Delaware in the US, Toronto. Awesome. Edmonton. Great. Well, welcome everyone. I also, if you get a chance, put in the chat. I'd love to hear from a few of you about the reason why you're joining today. I would like to assume that it's probably because you'd like to get a better idea of how to sleep or how to get better quality sleep. Just curious. So if you could type in the chat, that would be great. And we will get started. Okay, what I want to start with first is just a little bit about me. I know some of you already know me, but there's a few of you that may not. So I figured before I get into the details, I'll tell you a little bit about myself and my journey. So my name is Renay Roberts. I am a registered health and functional nutrition coach. I like to call myself a vitality coach because I help men and women over 40 sleep better and gain more energy and feel amazing using clean eating, self-care, and mindset principles. So I provide one-on-one and group coaching and wellness workshops like this one through my company, Nourish to Live RX. And I have also had my share of sleepless nights. So I noticed as I started to get older, my sleep habits started changing. I was waking up earlier in the morning, having to go to bed a little earlier at night, and started waking through the night. And I don't know if any of you have these issues, but if you do, let me know in the chat. It's very frustrating when you wake up in the middle of the night and are wide awake and can't get back to sleep. But more recently, I've been having trouble falling asleep. So that's one of the reasons why I focus on sleep as one of my specialties in coaching, because it's so important for every function in our bodies to actually get a good night's sleep. So I've become a bit of a nerd about sleep, and I need to know why certain activities promote good quality sleep and why some sleep habits or why some habits don't promote good quality sleep. So now personally, I understand why I have sleepless nights and I know what to do to make it better for myself. Do I always follow those habits? No, but at least I know for me personally what has worked and what has not worked. So I will geek out a bit tonight and get into not only why sleep is important, but what happens when we sleep and why certain habits work and certain habits don't. Hey Rambo, welcome. Oh, that's good you're joining, and I'm glad to see that you are continuing with your challenge. Thank you. For those of you that don't know, I had a 5-day sleep challenge last week, and some of you have participated, and I think it turned out really well. I had a lot of good feedback on it, so I hope everybody who did it was able to get a lot of information, and I hope some of the information I share with you tonight, why some of the habits you probably will have seen in the challenge, I'm going a little deeper into the science behind it, so I think you'll learn a little bit, some new tips tonight as well. So let me get started with a question. Do you get enough sleep? So give me a yes in the chat if you feel you get enough sleep. And I'm curious to how many yeses we will get, because I'm going to assume that if you're here, you probably could get a little bit better quality sleep. You can probably improve in the area. So most people don't get enough quality sleep. So you are in good company. And I figured, why not throw out a few statistics? So I know this is a lot of text on the screen, but these are some of the things that I found interesting and wanted to share with you guys. So 35% of adults sleep less than 7 hours per night. And 10 to 30% of adults under the age of 65 struggle with chronic insomnia, while 30 to 48% of adults 65 and over suffer from insomnia. So I thought that was a very interesting statistics. And women have a lifetime risk of insomnia that is 40% higher than of men. And 15 to 30% of men and 10 to 30% of women suffer from sleep apnea. And this is an interesting one, a 10% increase in body weight can equate to a 6-fold rise in the risk for sleep apnea. 69% of men and 76% of women over the age of 40 use the bathroom at least once per night. And 57% of men and 40% of women in the US snore. And 75% of adults with depression suffer from insomnia. So are you guys surprised by any of these statistics? Let me know in the chat. I found some of them quite interesting. I was surprised about the depression and the link with insomnia, for sure. Okay, so now that we've done that, let's go into my intention for today's workshop. So I want to go in and talk a little bit about why sleep is so important for us. And as I mentioned, I want to geek out a bit and talk about what happens when we sleep. And then I'll get into some habits and tips for getting better quality sleep. I hope that you'll leave this workshop with a new view on sleep and have practical tips that you can put to use immediately to have a more successful night's sleep. So I love it when people share their thoughts and ask questions during the workshop. So feel free to chime in anytime with questions. I'll try to keep an eye on the chat or the Q&A box and try to answer questions as I go along. If I take some time, I may be into it, so I will keep an eye on it though. So first, let's talk about the importance of sleep. So why is it important? Well, we need sleep to give our brains time to rest, restore, and repair. Now, it may seem that we don't do much in our sleep, but our bodies are doing quite a bit. So our bodies are physically restoring and repairing. Our brains are clearing out toxins. Information is processed and memorized. Our immune system is being strengthened, and our moods are being restored. So I figured what I do is go in a little more detail about what happens, but I want to go into what happens when we're sleep deprived. It may be a little bit easier that way to explain. So another question. Type in the chat any symptoms you feel when you are sleep deprived. Feel free to put what happens to you in the chat. The main reason of ongoing sleep loss is excessive daytime sleepiness. But other symptoms include, and Tina, thank you, brain fog is definitely one. Chris, moody is definitely a symptom as well. Yawning is another one. Chris mentioned moodiness, fatigue, difficulty learning new concepts. Diane mentioned she feels tired and dizzy and hungry. Absolutely. Poor memory, forgetfulness, lack of motivation, the inability to concentrate, or brain fog, foggy brain, lack of motivation, clumsiness is another one, increased appetite and carbohydrate cravings, and last but not least, reduced sex drive. So stats show that when you get less than 7 hours of sleep at night, it can increase your risk of catching a cold or the flu. It can also increase your risk for chronic illnesses and disease, and can even increase conditions like cancer, emotional stress, depression, and anxiety. So, another thing, when we're not sleeping well, it ages our body. Our organ systems are overworking, throwing off our cortisol levels. So sleep actually boosts our energy levels. So when we do get enough sleep, we actually look and feel younger. So instead of buying that expensive face cream, try going to bed a little bit earlier. And I'm going to talk a little bit about some other consequences for lack of sleep, especially if you have lack of sleep for very long periods of time. I just threw some words out here into a word cloud. So, one thing I like to say is if you're not sleeping well, you're not healing well. So 6 hours or less of sleep a night will increase inflammation. And then here are some of the other consequences. So lowers immunity, insulin resistance, obesity, diabetes, arthritis, cancer, heart disease, mood disorders, depression, irritability, poor performance, poor judgment, impulsivity, just a lower quality of life, and increased mental illness. So, I have another statistic. Back in 2014, there was a 39-year-old sleep-deprived football fanatic who died from a stroke after a 48 World Cup TV marathon. The doctors ruled that his death was related to excessive lack of sleep. Yes, it's an extreme case, but it shows that sleep can put you at risk for serious medical conditions and even death. Crazy. And we actually have a global experiment twice a year that we are all a part of. It's called daylight savings time. So in the spring, when we lose 1 hour of sleep, we see a 24% increase in heart attacks the following day. And in the fall, when we gain an hour of sleep, we see a 21% reduction in heart attacks. And the same results are true for accidents and suicides. So the bottom line is, the shorter your sleep, the shorter your life. It's kind of crazy. Okay, so now let me start geeking out. I'll give you some more statistics. So what happens when you sleep? So when you sleep, your body undergoes a series of changes that is vital to your overall health. Sleep allows the brain and the body to slow down and engage in recovery processes, promoting better physical and mental performance, and also reinforces the cardiovascular and immune system and helps regulate metabolism. If you don't sleep, these fundamental processes are short-circuited, affecting thinking, concentration, energy levels, and mood. Okay, Rambo, I almost died today when Germany didn't go through to the Euros. Sorry about that. So what happens? Our internal organs rest and repair tissue and muscle. Our memories are consolidated, allowing for the formation and storage of new learning. So basically, we have to hit this. We have to sleep. We have to hit the save button so we don't forget memories for the day. Sleep does that for us. And important hormones that control essentially bodily functions like metabolism, appetite control, stress, growth, etc., are regulated in the bloodstream also. and our immune systems are strengthened, decreasing the risk of serious diseases. So now what I want to do is go into a little bit about sleep cycles. So in a normal sleep period, a person can experience between 4 to 6 sleep cycles. And within each sleep cycle, there are 4 stages of sleep. And these stages are determined based on an analysis of brain activity during sleep, which shows distinct patterns that characterize each stage. Now, if any of you that wear a watch that tracks your sleep at night, you would understand these stages, or you probably would have seen these. So stage 1, which is also called N1, is called the dozing off stage. So it typically lasts about 1 to 5 minutes. And this is when your body hasn't fully relaxed. Your body and brain activities start to slow with periods of brief movements and twitches. And there are light changes in brain activity during this stage, and it's easy to wake someone during this stage. But if a person isn't disturbed, they will quickly move into stage 2. And then as the night unfolds, an uninterrupted sleeper may not spend much more time in stage 1 as they move through the further sleep cycles. So then you go into stage 2, which also called N2 or light sleep. So the body enters a more subdued state, including a drop in body temperature, relaxed muscles, and slowed breathing and heart rate. And brain waves show a new pattern, and eye movement stops. Our brain activity slows, but there are short bursts of activity that help resist being woken up by external stimuli. And this stage can last for about 10 to 25 minutes during the first sleep cycle. And then each N2 stage can become longer during the night. So collectively, a person typically spends about half their sleep time in this stage. Okay, so stage 3, it's also called N3 or deep sleep. It's harder to wake someone up if they're in this stage. Muscle tone, pulse, and breathing rate decrease as the body relaxes even further. And experts believe that this stage is critical to restorative sleep, allowing for bodily recovery and growth. And it may also bolster the immune system and other key bodily processes. And even though brain activity is reduced, there is evidence that deep sleep contributes to insightful thinking, creativity, and memory. And we spend most time in deep sleep during the first half of the night. So during the early sleep cycles, this stage will last for about 20 to 40 minutes. And as you continue sleeping, these stages get shorter and more time gets spent in stage 4. And stage 4 is what's known as REM sleep. And our metabolism drops around 15% during this stage. Our brain activity picks up, nearing levels seen when we're awake. And the body experiences atonia, which is a temporary paralysis of the muscles, with 2 exceptions, the eyes and the muscles that control breathing. So REM sleep is believed to be essential to cognitive functions like memory, learning, and creativity. And it's also known for the most vivid dreams, which is explained by the significant uptake in brain activity. So dreams can happen at any stage, but they're less common and intense in the other stages. So under normal circumstances, you don't enter a REM sleep stage until you've been asleep for about 90 minutes. And as the night goes on, REM stages get longer, especially in the second half of the night. So while the first REM stage may only last a few minutes, later stages can last for around an hour. So in total, REM stages make up about 25% of sleep in adults. So I hope that was not too geeky enough for you guys. If you have any questions, definitely type them in the chat. Okay, now I'm going to talk a little bit about circadian rhythms. So circadian rhythms are 24-hour cycles that are a part of the body's internal clock, running in the background to carry out essential functions and processes. So one of the most important and well-known circadian rhythms is the sleep-wake cycle. When properly aligned, a circadian rhythm can promote consistent and restorative sleep. But when this circadian rhythm is thrown off, it can create significant sleep problems, including insomnia. So during the day, light exposure causes our body clock to send signals that generate alertness and help us keep awake and active. And as the night falls, our body clock initiates the production of melatonin, a hormone that helps promote sleep. And then it keeps transmitting signals that help us stay asleep through the night. In this way, our circadian rhythm aligns our sleep and wakefulness with day and night to create a stable cycle of restorative rest that enables increased daytime activity. So when circadian rhythm is thrown off, it means the body's systems aren't functioning properly. So a disturbed sleep-wake circadian rhythm can give rise to serious sleeping problems. And without proper signaling from the body's internal clock, a person can struggle to fall asleep or wake up during the night or be unable to sleep as long as they want in the morning. So their total sleep time can be reduced, and a disrupted circadian rhythm can also mean shallower, fragmented, and lower quality sleep. In addition, studies have identified circadian rhythm disruptions as potential contributors to obstructive sleep apnea. And as a whole, a misaligned circadian rhythm can negatively affect sleep in many ways, increasing a person's risk of insomnia and excessive daytime sleepiness. So given the essential role of sleep for productivity and overall health, there are significant consequences when a person's circadian rhythm is off. Now, while we don't have full control over our circadian rhythm, we can improve our sleep hygiene to better train our 24-hour sleep-wake cycles, and I will get to those shortly. So these steps to improve sleep hygiene can be an important part of supporting a healthy circadian rhythm. But other steps may be necessary depending on the situation. So if you have persistent or severe sleeping problems, daytime drowsiness, and/or a problematic sleep schedule, it's important to talk with a doctor who can best diagnose the cause and offer the most appropriate treatment. Okay, and we have a question, and Harjeet says, my son has sleep paralysis. It affects his sleep a lot. Can you please speak on this? I don't have too much expertise in specifically sleep paralysis, but I'd love to reach out and, ask some more questions for you, definitely, to find out what's going on. I'm very curious about that for sure. I do want to talk about some trivia, or throw out a little bit of trivia. So our prehistoric ancestors slept for 9 to 10 hours when the sun went down and then came back up at dawn. So during midday, they took shelter away from the sun for a nap. So we need to kind of go back in time to talk about when our bodies started to get out of sync, because we typically don't sleep that long now, right? So our body clock and sleeping patterns changed in 1880. And I'm just wondering, can anybody throw a guess in the chat as to why our body clock changed? I'll give a little clue. Something was invented in 1880. Can you guess? Yes, Harjeet is right. The light bulb. Thomas Edison and his bright idea, the light bulb. So that, started affecting and changing our sleep cycles. On another side note, alarm clocks started to become popular in the late 1870s. And waking up from an alarm clock actually activates our stress response, which is quite interesting. And our stress response then increases heart rate, causes sweat, and diverts energy from digestive and other bodily functions. Okay, now I want to kind of get a little bit into hormones. Let's see if my slide will advance. There we go. The human body secretes and circulates approximately 50 different hormones, most of which are produced by the endocrine system. So how does this relate to sleep? Well, specific hormones like cortisol and melatonin affect your body in specific ways that affect your ability to sleep. Whether it be a feeling of stress, anxiety, or anger, there are a host of reasons as to why your hormones can prevent you from nodding off. So cortisol and melatonin aren't the only hormones that can affect your sleep. So I'm going to list a few, And you have them here, and I'm going to go into them a little bit. So the first one, estrogen. Largely associated with women's reproductive health, estrogen plays a key role in our menstrual cycle and our body's ability to utilize serotonin, which is the important feel-good neurotransmitter. So levels of this hormone fluctuate wildly throughout life, and at lower levels can cause a wide range of sleep-related problems. Progesterone, better known as the female sex hormone. Progesterone is one of the most linked hormones to sleep quality. At higher concentrations, progesterone provides an anti-anxiety effect, enabling you to fall asleep more quickly. However, at lower concentrations, mood swings and cramping are two commonly encountered symptoms. Testosterone. So levels of testosterone don't fluctuate in the same sporadic way as estrogen and progesterone. Instead, testosterone levels often decline gradually over a longer period of time, meaning there are much lower concentrations in older people. And these lower levels are often linked to a poor quality of sleep and can lead to insomnia. Insulin. This hormone controls your blood glucose levels, and sleep deprivation can raise your blood sugar level and encourage unhealthy late night eating habits. This in turn triggers an insulin release, causing blood glucose levels to fluctuate throughout the night. When the level of blood glucose is higher, there is a greater chance that your night's sleep will be a lot more restless than normal. Cortisol. So known as the stress hormone, it's a steroid made in our adrenal glands, and it's responsible for controlling blood sugar levels, regulating metabolism, reducing inflammation, and improving memory. But when cortisol gets too high, it can result in high blood pressure, mood swings, anxiety, depression, rapid weight gain, and disrupted sleep. Melatonin. So the main role of melatonin is to regulate our sleep cycles. So exposure to light simulates a nerve pathway in our brain that controls hormone production. And this is called the suprachiasmatic nucleus, SCN for short. So when exposed to light, the SCN begins releasing these stimulating hormones like cortisol and suppressing hormones like melatonin. Meanwhile, when darkness arrives, the SCN signals to start producing more melatonin and suppressing cortisol. So too much stress during the day can raise our cortisol levels, while binging on Netflix late at night or playing on your smartphone before bed can suppress melatonin. And then thyroid, last but not least. Our thyroid regulates how the body uses energy and is vital to a wide range of physiological processes such as breathing and heart rate, digestion, and body temperature. So problems tend to occur when your thyroid gland is either too active, which is called hyperthyroidism, or not active enough, hypothyroidism. Both conditions come with their own extensive list of side effects, and both are linked to poor sleep. So if you suffer from hyperthyroidism, you may experience nervousness, irritability, or bouts of sweating and heart palpitations. In some sufferers, it can even act almost like a stimulant for the nervous system, making you feel restless, and as a consequence, you may find it difficult to fall asleep or stay asleep. Hypothyroidism, on the other hand, is often associated with feelings of fatigue and lethargy. So your body isn't producing enough thyroid hormones, and as a result, your metabolism can slow down. Now, you might think that this feeling of fatigue may make it easier to sleep, but it isn't the case, as hypothyroidism can sometimes increase your risk of suffering from a sleep disorder. For example, it's estimated that around 30% of those with hypothyroidism suffer from sleep apnea. So if you suspect you suffer from a hormone imbalance, it's really important that you speak to your doctor, and he or she will be able to diagnose you and discuss further treatment options, which may help ease associated sleep problems. Okay. So that is it for the science part of it. I hope I didn't geek out too much. Now I want to talk a little bit about, what you can do. So if you find you're consistently having trouble sleeping, you should examine your daily routine. That's the first thing you can do. And some things to consider are included here. So, on average, how many hours of sleep do you get per night? Do you wake feeling well rested? Do you wake up frequently during the night? If so, how often? And do you tend to wake around the same time each night? Do you nap during the day? Do you need an afternoon coffee every day to beat that afternoon slump? Or do you have more than one alcoholic beverage per day? Do you eat dinner after 8 o'clock p.m.? Do you work out? If yes, what time do you work out? And do you generally go to bed and wake up at the same time each day? You want to take note of these behaviors, and identifying them will help you on your journey for better sleep. You may also want to keep a sleep diary and make sure you note in the diary what you were doing before you went to bed, what time you went to bed, what time you woke up, and if you woke during the night, how long it took you to fall back asleep. And you also want to note, the time you spent napping during the day. Okay. So that's what you can do to examine your daily routine. Now we can talk about, what you can change to get a better quality sleep. And before I get into what you can change to make the habits that you can have for better quality sleep, I want to talk about habits that cause low quality sleep. So these are things you want to kind of work on right away. The first one being a regular sleep schedule. Our bodies like routine. One of the best habits we can start for better quality sleep is developing a regular bedtime and regular wake time. Varying your bedtime or morning wake up time can hinder your body's ability to adjust to a stable circadian rhythm. If you start to go to bed at the same time every night, your body will learn that it's time to sleep, and the same with waking. And you may even get to a point where you can wake each day without an alarm. Another reason for developing a regular sleep cycle is that the more irregular your sleep patterns, the higher risk for obesity, hypertension, elevated blood sugar, and projected risk of developing heart disease. So it's really important. How much sleep should you get? Well, the National Sleep Foundation recommends that adults up to 64 years old sleep for 7 to 9 hours per night. Once you're 65, you need between 7 and 8 hours per night. And when is the best time to go to bed? Well, that depends. As I mentioned earlier, a person experiences anywhere between 4 and 6 sleep cycles per night. So when we wake up at the end of a cycle, we will feel more refreshed than when we wake up in the middle of a cycle. So this means the best time to go to bed depends on when you want to wake up and how many sleep cycles you want to go through each night. If you sleep for 7.5 hours, you'll go through 5 sleep cycles, and 9 hours will get you through 6 cycles. And if you like to nap during the day, keep them short and early in the afternoon. Late and long naps can push back your bedtime and throw off your sleep schedule. Drinking caffeine after noon. So caffeine blocks a brain chemical called adenosine that helps you sleep. So adenosine is one of the body's more powerful molecules and is linked to our digestion process. So when the body runs out of fuel in the form of easily digestible sugars from the food we eat, adenosine signals the body to become drowsy, which essentially tells us to sleep and rebuild our energy reserves. It's a critical chain reaction that initiates the early stages of non-REM sleep and is essential to the natural sleep cycle. So caffeine is considered an adenosine blocker. It comes into play by attaching itself to the same receptors that adenosine would generally latch onto. So in turn, it prevents the drowsiness that occurs as the levels of adenosine in the body increase. So when you drink caffeine, it can stay in your system for up to 7 to 12 hours. So having a late in the day caffeine boost can force your body to remain awake when it should be winding down. So to avoid this, stop drinking caffeine roughly around noon, 12 o'clock. Drinking alcohol. So alcohol may help you fall asleep faster and give you sleep deeply, but it reduces the amount of REM sleep. So disruptions in REM sleep will cause daytime drowsiness and poor concentration. Drinking alcohol may also cause you to wake in the middle of the night when your liver is trying to process this toxin. So according to Chinese medicine, the liver detoxes between 1 and 3 a.m. So if you find yourself waking at this time after a night of drinking, you can bet alcohol is the culprit. Stress. So under stressful circumstances, our adrenal glands release cortisol in preparation to fight, freeze, or run. So back in the day, this was useful when woolly mammoths were chasing us. But today, we may not face woolly mammoths, but our bodies don't know the difference between a woolly mammoth and a work deadline. So when we are stressed, our cortisol increases. And as I mentioned earlier, cortisol and melatonin are in an inverse relationship. So when cortisol is high, melatonin is low. And then last on this, but not least, is going to bed after midnight. So I don't know if you've heard the adage, 1 hour of sleep before midnight is equivalent to 2 hours of sleep after midnight. So this is directly related to our circadian rhythm. So it's only logical that sleeping in accordance with our sleep-wake cycle helps to promote better, more rejuvenating sleep. So according to some sleep experts, the 90-minute phase before midnight is one of the most powerful phases of sleep because it's the period where the body is replenished. So if you want to get the most benefits from a good night's sleep, try going to bed before midnight. Okay, so now I'll get into some habits that we can do during the day to promote a good quality sleep. So first thing is get regular exposure to sunlight. So light plays a central role in regulating, as you know, regulating our circadian rhythm and the production of melatonin. And the way light alters circadian rhythm depends on the timing of the light exposure. So when light is perceived early in the morning, it pushes our sleep schedule earlier. It starts our cycle. Light exposure in the evening pushes the sleep cycle backward towards a later bedtime. So if you want to start going to bed earlier, try to get exposure to sunlight as soon as you wake up in the morning. And exposure to natural light, especially during early in the day, helps reinforce the strongest circadian cue. Okay, so exercise, and exercise regularly. So exercise increases the amount of time you spend in deep sleep. In addition, it can also help you increase the duration of your nightly rest. So being physically active requires you to expend energy and helps you feel more tired and ready to rest at the end of the day. And research indicates that regular exercise can help boost sleep duration and in addition to sleep quality. Moderate to vigorous exercise can increase sleep quality by reducing the time it takes to fall asleep at night and decrease the amount of time you lie awake in bed during the night. It can also help alleviate daytime sleepiness and for some people reduce the need for sleep medications. So perhaps the most obvious way exercise can help you sleep is it physically tires you out. So physical activity increases your sleep drive or need for sleep. When you've exercised, your body wants to recover, especially if you've done like a strenuous or weight training. Our muscles need to repair overnight. So sleep is a good way for doing that. Exercise also provides stress relief, which is strongly associated with sleep troubles. So when you exercise, your brain releases endorphins, which gives you that post-exercise high, boosting your mood while reducing stress. And then you can also, since I'm talking about stress, reduce stress with deep breathing exercises or meditation. So deep breathing, mindfulness, and meditation activities can help bring about a relaxed state of mind conducive to falling asleep. So at a biological level, these activities slow down the heart rate and lower levels of cortisol while increasing natural melatonin levels, promoting a more restful sleep. Okay, so what can we do in the evening? So establishing a good nighttime routine will promote good quality sleep as well. So number one, power down hour. Turn off the computer, TV, turn off your phone, leave your phone out of the room if you can. This helps reduce blue light, which is known to suppress our melatonin levels. So not only does the power down hour reduce our exposure to blue light, it also reduces exposure to emails, text, videos, and social media posts that can stress us out or amp us up. And as I mentioned in the last slide, deep breathing and meditation, just like during the day, you can perform them at night as well. And they help you relax and promote a mind conducive to falling asleep. And then sleep stories. I don't know if any of you have tried listening to sleep stories. I've done that, and they are literally so boring, they make you fall asleep. You can find sleep stories on apps, like on your phone, like Breathe or Calm. You can probably find some on YouTube as well, but they are literally quite boring. Another one is hypnotherapy, which is one of my favorites. Hypnotherapy can focus a person's attention in a way that allows them to receive suggestions that can positively change their thoughts and behaviors. So, research indicates that it has limited side effects and may help people with insomnia and other sleeping problems. So, by encouraging relaxation and creating an opportunity to reorient thoughts and emotions, it may be a useful tool in enhancing sleep for people with conditions like insomnia. In one study, the suggestion to sleep deeper during hypnosis prompted increased deep sleep, which is important for our physical and mental recovery. Hypnotherapy may reduce symptoms of anxiety and depression, both are which are strongly correlated to sleeping issues. And it has been employed to treat pain as well, which can also disturb our sleep. Okay, listening to relaxing music or white noise. A change in sound consistency from soft to loud can be strong enough to interrupt your sleep. So, listening to like this relaxing music or white noise will fill the room with a blanket of sound that can mask these inconsistent noises. Studies also suggest that white noise can reduce the time it takes for you to fall asleep. Okay, do a brain dump. So take a few minutes to write out a list of whatever is bugging you. Whatever is in your brain, get it out on paper. Writing it down relieves the burden on your brain, hastening sleep. You can also take a bath, which raises your body temperature before bed, which helps induce sleep. A hot bath relaxes your muscle and reduces physical tension. You can add a half to a cup of Epsom salt, a half to a cup of baking soda to your bath for an alkaline, balancing, sleep-inducing effect as well. You can also warm your stomach with a hot compress. So warming your tummy with a hot water bottle or compress will raise your core temperature, which helps trigger the proper chemistry for sleep. It also aids in digestion, which can also hinder sleep. Keep your room cool and dark. So the optimal temperature for your room at night is between 60 to 68 degrees Fahrenheit or 15 to 20 degrees Celsius. And a dark room will help keep your circadian rhythm in check. And you can also try a weighted blanket, which can do wonders for reducing stress and anxiety, therefore increasing the quality of your sleep. I do want to make a note that you want to avoid activities that make you fall asleep too early. So falling asleep too early can throw off your sleep routine and disrupt your shut-eye for the rest of the night. So what's too early? Well, basically it's any time before your regular bedtime, assuming of course you have a regular bedtime. So if you don't have a regular bedtime, this is your biggest opportunity for improving your sleep, as I said before. Okay, so now that you've gotten to sleep, what happens if you wake during the night? Well, if you tend to wake during the night, you can try some of the following activities I have listed here. You may also want to note if you're waking the same time every night and how long it takes you to fall back asleep. So start at the, do a mind body scan. Start at the top of your head and slowly go down to your toes and notice all the physical sensations, whether they're hot, cold, if you're itchy, if you're tense, if there's pain. Observe, but don't judge. And then you want to ask yourself the following questions. Number one, what am I feeling physically right now? And number two, what am I feeling emotionally? And then number three, what am I thinking about right now? And then write down anything that's bothering me and do that brain dump if needed. And you can also try any of the activities I mentioned on the previous slide, listening to sleep stories, hypnotherapy, that all helps as well. But I will say try at all costs to avoid electronics if you wake up, because light impacts our circadian rhythm, as you've learned, and blue light has the most considerable impact. And I don't know if you know this, but we get most of our exposure to blue light from the sun. So blue light stimulates parts of the brain that makes us feel alert, elevating our heart rate, which is what we don't want in the middle of the night. The other thing is don't lay in bed too long. My rule of thumb is if you're still awake after 20 minutes, get out of bed and do something quiet and unexciting. So listen to soothing music or read something that you've read before. You can also take the opportunity to perform deep breathing exercises, meditation, do some yoga or stretching. And then if you have to get up, make sure you keep the lights dim. use night lights wherever possible. Okay, now I'd be remiss if I didn't say anything about nutrition as a nutrition coach. So while many foods are helpful for sleep, other foods can impede sleep. So foods that can interfere with sleep include high carbohydrate and heavily processed foods. So eating sugary foods throughout the day can cause pronounced changes in your blood sugar, bringing feelings of fatigue that can alter your daily routine and sleep patterns at night. Large meals high in carbohydrates can have a similar effect on your blood sugar. So you want to eat foods that will promote a good quality sleep. So add foods rich in melatonin to your diet. So you want to have plenty of seeds, chicken, turkey, fish, cheese, beans, lentils, and eggs, because they increase tryptophan. And tryptophan is an essential to the production of melatonin, which we know is the hormone that helps us sleep. Almonds and walnuts contain melatonin, so eating them can increase your blood levels of the hormone, helping you sleep more soundly. Certain fruits that contain melatonin may help you fall asleep faster and wake up less during the night. For instance, tart cherry juice and whole tart cherries contain a lot of melatonin. So does bananas contain melatonin, so does pineapple and oranges. If you have an insomnia, eating 2 kiwis before bed can increase your sleep duration by an hour over the course of a month. I found that interesting. Eat foods high in magnesium, like avocados, organic yogurt, and leafy greens. So stats show that approximately 48% of Americans are low in magnesium. So magnesium is a calming mineral that can help induce sleep when taken about an hour before bedtime. If you need to, you can add a magnesium supplement 1 hour before bed, around 300 to 600 milligrams. However, talk to your doctor before starting anything new, especially if you have never taken it before. Harjeet asked the question, can we drink herbal tea in the evening? Yes, you can. I think herbal teas don't typically contain caffeine, and there are ones that actually are promoted for better quality sleep. I have a few. I use herbal teas from traditional medicinals, and there's one called Nighty Night and Cup of Calm, which are two of my favorites for helping me fall asleep at night. Food sensitivities, that's another thing to look out for. If you're intolerant or sensitive to any foods, you may have trouble digesting them. And digesting food in your body that's intolerant to your body may cause inflammation and impede sleep. And then stop eating 3 hours before bedtime. So it's best to avoid large meals close to bedtime. Being too full at bedtime can interfere with falling asleep and disrupt your sleep quality through the night as the body works to digest all that food. So also eating raises both your insulin and cortisol levels. So if you do eat before bed and manage to get to sleep, deep and REM sleep will be more difficult to come by, and the quality and duration of your sleep will suffer. However, that being said, an empty rumbling stomach can be distracting and make it more difficult to fall asleep. So if you must eat before bed, a light snack with protein like a small piece of turkey or chicken or pumpkin seeds is a good choice. Also, you want to stop liquid intake 3 hours before bed as well, and that will help avoid waking up for bathroom breaks. Okay, whew. I don't know how many of these things you guys have tried, but I've said a lot here. So if you have tried many of these activities and are still having trouble sleeping, you may actually benefit from a detox or a cleanse. And I just wanted to say that because I have a cleanse coming up in July, and I just want to speak a little bit about it. I run this program 4 times a year, and the next session starts on July 11th. And basically it's 3 weeks long. And week 1 is, daily lessons, habits. You learn tools and you learn everything about cleansing. And then week 2 is the actual cleanse, where you eliminate any high inflammatory foods from your diet. This is a whole foods cleanse. It's not eating or drinking anything weird. And then week 3 is your reintroduction, where I teach you and support you through reintroducing foods that were eliminated in week 2. Some of the benefits include, number 1, deeper sleep. This is why I do it. and higher energy. You may even lose weight, and you will decrease cravings for unhealthy food, experience clear skin, improve digestion. You may decrease allergies and congestion and discover food sensitivities. So it's actually quite beneficial to kind of take this time and do something like this. So I put the link here on the slide, and I will put the information in the chat as well in case you want to sign up for the wait list. I have a wait list going because I don't have it set up yet, but we'll be setting it up in the next couple of weeks. So if you want more information, feel free to just hop on the wait list, and then I'll give you the information when it's ready. If you would like any additional information about sleeping better or gaining more energy, I would love for you to reach out to me. And here is all of my information, and I will also put it in the chat. And I'm curious. I want to know. So, have you guys learned at least one thing that you can change to have a better night's sleep? I'm very curious. I'm going to stop the share. And I would love to hear and see, is there anything that you think you can do that may help? In the meantime, I'm going to post some information in the chat. Okay. There's all the information. Did I miss any other questions? Looks like I'm okay for now. Does anybody have any questions that they want me to answer? I know I went through that quite quickly. Okay. All right. From Amneet, is this recording shared? Sorry, I missed most of it. Yes, it is being recorded, and I will send out the link to the replay tomorrow by noon. Okay. And then exposure to sun in the AM. Do you recommend sun alarm clocks in places where sun comes up much later in the day during winter? Actually, I used to use one, and I don't use it anymore because I have those smart light bulbs. But I find they work really well to, if you can have them set to come up at a gradual level. It really does. It's really nice. So yes, I recommend them. I use them, and they worked really well for me. Okay, Harjit said we learned a lot. Thank you so much. Chris saying, I think for me, having a regular schedule will help a lot. It will for sure. And Morena is saying, try boring night stories. Yeah, those slow sleep stories are quite boring. I think the last one I listened to was how to weave baskets. It was pretty boring. But to be honest, I love the hypnotherapy. I didn't say where you can get it. So those sleep apps like Calm and Breathe have things like hypnotherapy. You can find them on YouTube as well. They are awesome. They help me fall asleep. Okay, so Deborah's saying, I want to start a sleep diary. Can you post the slide with the sleep diary info? I could not write fast enough. Absolutely. What I could do is where is it? And I can put it in the chat. I copy it right from my Keep It Sleep Diary. I'll put that right in. See if I can do it real quick. Let's see if this works. Where is my Zoom? Okay. There you go. Okay, Deborah says, lots of good info, great presentation. Thanks, everyone. Melatonin foods. Did you say kiwi was a good one? I don't know. I don't think kiwi was on. It was it kiwi? No, now I can't remember. Let me go back. I should remember. Yes, it was kiwi. I was thinking avocado, but yes, kiwi. I read that somewhere and I put it in because I found it very interesting. Eating 2 kiwis before bed can increase your sleep duration by an hour over the course of a month. Rambo says, I'm buying kiwis. You know, it's funny. I had kiwis just recently and I never know what to do with them, but there you go. Yes. Let me know if you find that they work. Any other questions? If not, it's 55 minutes, so I will let you guys go if there is nothing else, and you will get a replay, link to the replay tomorrow with all the information. And reach out to me. You'll have my information in the email tomorrow if you have any questions at all, because I know I breezed through this really fast. So thanks, Rambo. Renay still rocks. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Have a great night and sleep tight. Thank you. Bye.